Hey everybody, John Granato and AJ Hoffman from ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. I'm on in the mornings, he's on in the afternoons. And if you have not hit subscribe, please do so you get all our content here at SportsMap HOU. Hey AJ, this week Antonio Brown settled his sexual misconduct civil suit. It was filed 20 months ago. It's a reminder of how long this could take for Deshaun. Listen, Brown settled, and it's still dragged out for over a year and a half. Man, I'm going to tell you what, time is of the essence here for Deshaun, isn't it? This thing can't drag out like this.
You say it can't, but I say it will. And mind you, Antonio Brown's situation wasn't 20-something women coming forward. I mean, this could take even longer, depending on how many they're able to pare down, and if they end up doing it all together, which I know is what Deshaun's legal team wants to do, is make it one big case. But I don't know that that's going to end up happening long term. Yeah, it is something that could take years, and that's kind of. It's in a way, it's leaving the Texans in this weird limbo, because obviously the faster things get resolved, the faster you can get to where either Deshaun changes his mind and decides that he's got to fix his image and he's just going to play for you and shut up and dribble, or he's going to regain some of the trade value that he had before this whole mess hit the fan, and you can move on from him.
Antonio Brown never made the exempt list. Deshaun Watson has a real possibility on being on the Patriots just said we're done with Antonio Brown. We just cut him, and so he didn't hit the exempt list. If Deshaun hits the exempt list, that makes it even worse for the Texans, because he's basically on paid leave, and now he's got. I mean, talk about. The rumor is Ian Rappaport told Rich Eisen that Deshaun still has no intention of playing with the Texans. Now, holding his money back if he holds out, now all of a sudden Deshaun, he's got legal fees to pay, he might have settlements to pay. That may force Deshaun to come back. But if he's on the exempt list, making money without having to work, that takes away that leverage.
It does. Although I think him ending up on the exempt list is less likely than it sounds like you do. I feel like there's been a precedent set for anything sexually related that it's a lot easier for the NFL just to suspend you because they don't have – I mean, Zeke Elliott, there was really no evidence, and he got suspended 6 games. Like with this thing, there's more. I fully expect him to just say, you know what, we're suspending you, because if you're paying that guy to go away – all it does is open it up to women's groups and say, well, this guy's still making millions of dollars. You're not doing anything to actually punish him. I think that the NFL will handle this the way they did Antonio Brown, the way they did Zeke Elliott, and just say, listen, you're suspended without pay, maybe indefinitely. And then when things start to shake out, that's when they can make a decision on how long it's going to be. But I think a suspension is much more likely than the exempt list.
Yeah, I think you may be right, because they are investigating now with a couple of the complainants. So there's a real possibility that the NFL could just say, listen, we've got enough. We feel like we've got enough, and we're going to suspend you indefinitely. Yeah. And therefore, Deshaun's contract he'll still owe the Texans 5 years. He'll owe whomever those 5 years. And that makes it better for the Houston Texans. This whole thing, nothing is better for the Houston Texans. But what about Deshaun? If he settles, does that hurt his reputation?
Yeah, it does. But there's no way to avoid his reputation being hurt. I mean, at this point, settling could just be a way to move on with your life. It's not worth it to take up this much time. You can always say, this was my reason why I settled. I just didn't want to keep going through this. I got to get back to focusing on football. If it drags out and he's, forced by a court to pay something, that looks worse. That's worse on his reputation. So there's no way around this thing for him where it's going to, and even if he's found to be free and clear of all of this by some miracle, it's not like his reputation is ever going to go back to what it was. Like these accusations and the stuff that's come out has been enough to ruin his reputation long term already.
Well, I think too, the second thing is, you don't want anything to be part of public record. As far as we know, so far, no depositions, which become,
Right.
you are going to, the women are going to be liable and accountable. They'll perjury. You could go to prison in a deposition and even in a civil suit. So there's nothing on record right now, which Deshaun, like you said, could always refute everything because nothing is really, nothing is provable as of yet. And an NFL team would much rather not have anything part of public, all of this stuff in the news on a daily basis before they pick him up. They could always just play it off, whoever gets him, and say, well, he settled. We don't really know what happened, and Deshaun refutes all the claims anyway.
Yeah, and if there is a settlement, with that settlement would come a clause that these women aren't allowed to tell their stories anywhere. They're not allowed to go on Oprah. They're not allowed to write books. So that helps a lot too. Whereas if it doesn't go that way, if it ends up another way, there's not always that gag order. So it's possible that these women could go out and do further damage.
Right. Well, you'd think if they settled that they're gonna sign NDAs. So
that would have to be part of the deal.
Absolutely. Now there are still rumors out there, and I think Rusty Harden's press conference was great for Deshaun, not so much for the victims, maybe not so much for Rusty, who claimed that all the women were lying and who wanted their day in court with Rusty just to show him, hey, 12 of them said, we're going to be there, Rusty. You called us a liar. So he wants his day. He certainly, Deshaun now, do you think there's more interest by teams because of that Rusty Harden press conference that they think maybe all this is smoke, and oh, by the way, maybe I can get Deshaun at a lower price?
My guess is right now that most teams want nothing to do with the Deshaun Watson business. And any team that was to make an offer right now, it would be an offer that I think the Texans would be foolish to take. I don't think you're going to get a first-round pick in this year's draft even for Deshaun Watson. And if you can't get that, you're better off holding on to him and waiting until his value goes back to somewhat normal after all of this is settled out. Because right now, you're not going to get a fair return on him if you're the Texans. So, and I also think that there's nobody out there willing to just say, oh, nobody else seems to want to jump at it. Let's just give them 2 first-rounders and a second. I can't picture that happening right now with all the smoke around this.
No. But I could still see teams. I could still see Carolina still interested in them. Hopefully this stuff will go away. Carolina saying, I'm not going to do it now. And if I'm the Texans, you'd be dumb to do it now. You do it after the draft. You do it maybe not even after this in the spring into training camp. You do it next offseason because his value is going to grow.
What's the offer you would take today you would say, okay, I'll trade you Deshaun Watson for this? What offer would you accept today?
Now I'd take 2 firsts.
Okay. I think I would too, certainly.
And then they stop saying Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. You know what? I don't want any more saying Texans quarterback. Now, let's say Panthers quarterback Deshaun Watson while he's going through all of this crap. But I think 2 first-rounders, if you could get it now, don't you sell now?
I think you have to. But I like I said earlier, I don't think that there's anybody right now who would say let's risk 2 first-round draft picks at the hope that Deshaun is going to get out of this based on his lawyer calling these women liars, which that's what every lawyer does.
Right. And by the way, I have no idea how long he's going to be suspended. So no chance it happens now.